What's their reaction when you do point that out, that they wouldn't be in power if it wasn't for the US?
They don't have a lot to say. There's not a lot that they can come back with. I'm yet to hear any kind of solid response to that that would make me think that somehow that would not be the case. So they tend to move on from that subject pretty quick.
Yeah, change the subject. But we just did a rewind of the past 20 years in Iraq. What do you think the next 20 years look like? We kind of laid out this chaotic, corrupt landscape. Do you think that continues into the next 2 decades?
Well, one really big concern for me still is the stateless children, the huge numbers of them that exist, that really the next generation that could be, if you have nowhere to go, if you have no education, if you have no support and you're not even part of your own country, that is the very roots for a terrorist organization reforming. And a lot of them are still in these big, massive refugee camps in Syria. And so they're basically exposed to this awful brainwashing every single day. And so that concerns me of where Iraq goes in the next sort of 10 to 20 years. I don't see I mean, there are efforts from some Iraqi representatives to try to diversify away from the oil economy a little bit and bring Iraq into different realms of being able to finance its country. But I don't see a lot of that necessarily having a huge impact or really sort of changing the corruption game. So I think we are going to see an even stronger Iranian influence possibly over the next 10 to 20 years. And I think that will also come with these Sunni extremism. So I think right now there are ISIS pockets and there are still daily attacks going on, but obviously nothing at the scale that there was between 2014 and 2017. But I do think that Iraq is still sort of a hotbed for these extremists to come into, especially ones that feel subjugated. And I think that it's going to cause problems, maybe not in the next 5 years, but I think a little bit beyond that. You're still going to see that instability grow. It's a bit of a bleak assessment, but I just don't have huge hopes that Iraqi society is going to change kind of in any major way. But having said that, it's these small victories too that I think matter to the Iraqi people. And on my last trip there, I remember I had a fixer, and a fixer is someone that journalists work with in a foreign country that kind of translate, help us set up interviews, get around. And I've had the same fixer that I've been working with in Baghdad for a really long time, Anas. And I remember one of the first things she said to me when I got into her car was, we haven't had a suicide bombing now for 4.5 years. And she was just very excited, that her part of Baghdad had been kept safe for that long. And to me, I sort of looked at that and I thought, well, that is a small but very significant victory. Whether that will last very long, possibly not. But I think right now, in terms of attacks, Iraq is a fairly stable place. I just have concerns about where it ends up going from here, especially as these ISIS children grow up without sort of any hope or any inkling of a future.
Does it look like there will be a solution for those children? Because that sounds like that's just the recipe for disaster, getting children young and brainwashing them before that they have the opportunity to learn anything else.
No, there isn't. And that is part of the problem. And I brought this up with many Iraqi politicians, and they sort of look at it and dismiss it. And it's very much they've got other things to worry about. And the least of their worries is worrying about the children that had ISIS fathers. So that to them, it's sort of it's a non-starter. You do have activists that are trying to work on it, and usually people outside the government. But I think because Iraq has a multitude of problems, politicians are not necessarily willing to put that high on the priority list. So I don't think it is really going to be addressed. And also another part that's concerning is you've still got thousands of Yazidi women that have gone missing, and also Turkmen Shia women that were kidnapped by ISIS. And a lot of them have been taken as ISIS wives at this point, certainly brainwashed, and in many cases moved to foreign countries such as Turkey. And there isn't really a willingness to get support and bring a lot of those women back too. So I think we think, well, ISIS is all over, it's declared victory, but there are so many wounds that are left open. You still have a country with so many mass graves. You have so many landmines around the country. So there's there's certainly a plethora of problems to deal with, and I think the Iraqi government is a little bit short-sighted in trying to heal, I think, a society that is still very much wounded.
Well, Holly, I really appreciate your insights and your on the ground reporting. Holly McKay, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.